Hey, my name's Red Guy. So I figured out I want to get my thoughts out there too, like many already did. And I think it's understandable. Friend, Weird Root, Abandoned Weird Root, Gaster. There's so much things to discuss, and every now and then it feels like there is nothing else to discuss. But who cares, am I right? Anyways, today I want to talk about things that happened in Deltarune in general, as well as my ideas towards where this might lead. Don't expect much from me though, because I am so Deltarune I cannot live a single day without watching a theory or two about Deltarune. Guys like Spooky Dude and Kemi Boy G are my bread and butter. Please do what you do. I love your content. Or I might actually go insane. Disclaimer, major spoilers for all of Deltarune and Undertale from now on. So, if you haven't played them yet, leave. Shall we proceed? First of all, let's take a look where has the history been going since chapter 1. Immediately, the first thing that comes up in my mind, Ralsei and his never-ending knowledge of how the world functions. He knows about config menus, about stats. He basically sees the world in the same way as the player sees it. It was implied at least twice that he looks at the world much differently than, say, Suzy or Chris, who look at it first person, as normal people do. The first example of it is right in chapter 1, specifically the moment where he mentions the TP bar. Quote, "You will also gather TP. Watch the orange big bar on the left. I'll explain later." Like, what, dude? I get that there was Flowey and Undertale, but that guy was specifically stated to be overflowing with determination so much he could manipulate with the save files until we came around. Yeah, sure, you might tell that he may know the perspective of the player and tell that information accordingly to how we perceive it through the fourth wall. But another example is much more interesting. In chapter 4, right before meeting up with the old man aka Gerstenboom aka my man in the dark, when Titan Spawn appears, Ralsei, acting in a hurried and worried state, immediately tells you to go left, not back as a person with a perspective would do. And with that implication, it's actually pretty horrifying. Imagine being in Ralsei's chair. All your life you are living with a belief you are not real. You are only there to serve, to be a tutorial. And if your knowledge wasn't enough, you never even look at your body from your own eyes. Then there's Suzy. Just a few days ago she was a bully everyone was scared of. Then she appears in a new world where she meets Lancer, a little boy who actually wants to be friends with her, not to then make fun of her, as she mentions briefly in chapter 3 in the flashback, but simply because Lancer finds her cool, strong, and wants to be her friend for who she really is. And then, because of her new friend, she finds courage in herself to act much more friendly towards others like Chris, Ralsei, Noelle, even Birdly for that matter. But then she's met with the fate, something that will end this bliss. Something so terrifying for her to think about that before sealing the last fountain in chapter 4, she tells Chris that it's her dream for tomorrow to be the same as yesterday, and then the next day to be the same as tomorrow. It would only make sense she would be so worried about it if the last tragedy of the prophecy had a statement that would change the world completely. She grew so much attention towards Dark World's denizens that in chapter 5 we actually see her living and sleeping in the castle town. And to me, that will only cause her more pain in the future. And at last, Chris. Oh, Chris, you silly little goober.
You like opening the dark fountains and throwing the soul around, Chris.
Seriously though, Chris might be in the worst position out of all of the main characters, not even tackling the weird route, which we will tackle later. They are forced to lie, to work secretly, to live with a thing that possesses them and does things they don't want to. And at the same time, they too are probably not much fond of the outcome of the prophecy. And they are also probably known with the fact that this world isn't real. Talking about real, how real is Deltarune again? If you're on the same level of Deltarune as me, you probably already know well about the device theory by Molly Stars, a 10-hour essay discussing the levels of reality Deltarune hides within it. And with Chapter 5 released, I feel like this theory grows even stronger. We meet Flowery.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
A flower. A random fucking flower. Okay, maybe not that random, but still. And he's on the same level of knowledge as Ralsei? Talking about stats? Voice clips? Sometimes it's starting to feel like everyone in this damn game know they are in the game besides Susie. I start to feel kinda bad for her. It feels like the closer Darkner is to the depth, or whatever this may be, the more knowledge they obtain of the mechanics of this world. Flowery, before dying, tells us that there is something horrible happening under the town, and how they all as flowers are not lightners nor darkners. They can feel the things normal lightners or darkners can't. Which is also might be a hint why Ralsei can feel things like presence of the night or a new fountain. Speculations led us toward the shelter and the access to the depths. It's crazy that we had our first mention of the depths from Javel back in chapter 1, and we still have zero clues to what may be lurking in there. Genuinely, from what we have, there can be anything. There can be Night's evil lair, Gaster's programming room, a fucking floating corpse of Death's Holiday, or the source of the darkness itself. Which generally sounds pretty cool for a thing that I imagined just now. Yet, I find it strange Ralsei never mentions the shelter and seemingly avoids talking about it. But I think there is a reason for this. There is no dark fountain in the shelter. Shelter might be the place where darkness takes form. And if the source of the darkness is destroyed, well, I think there is no need to explain what happens. And then, when the darkness is banished, the angel, who is absolutely the player, I feel like it's the strongest implication, is disconnected from the device. Gaster talks with us again, replicating Flowey in the end of the neutral route in Undertale. In the same way that Flowey encouraged us to do everything to get a better ending, our beloved royal scientist, however, is interested in giving us more freedom. What if our choices did matter, and how far will we be able to take it? I believe there is an explanation towards why Gaster does not acknowledge the weird route, and that is because he doesn't need to. A player that have completed the normal route we'll already have no questions towards why we are doing it. So why waste time? The halfway mark has already been attained, and it's none of Gaster's concern to point out the weirdness, because he will ultimately be the one providing us with the way to try another approach. Taking the inspiration from LoreFacts TV and their last 30ism theory, I'm sure that Gaster isn't much worried about the characters themselves, because he's well known that they are just fabricated, so why is it our concern that some kids go missing on a lake? But what could be the ultimate point of doing all of this? How screwing up Noel could help the case? How skipping the whole of Chapter 5 and Chapter 6 will affect, well, everything? Well, first of all, Noel never gets to know her father got worse. She never comes to Castletown, at least from how it looks for now. And maybe, just maybe, if Noel is much more important outside the weird route, that specifically she's the only one besides Chris, Susie and Ralsei who actually can join your party. Something really important must have happened to her in the span of chapter 6 or 7 that could be avoided only by doing such a specific trail of tasks. Once again, there is absolutely no way to begin to even predict what might happen, and unfortunately I'm less of a professional cracked theorist than there is out there on YouTube, but what can I say? Your luck is that I have a thing to say. This will not work. The ending will be the same, but you came there with much more sacrifices than it was needed to. There will be some kind of new area, new enemies, maybe new gameplay, which I personally want to be an allusion towards the Zelda-style minigames. It would detach us even more from seeing Chris and Noel as an actual living beings, and beginning to view them as nothing more than just tools. There also may be a sense type of enemy that will block your path. I genuinely hope that this will be Susie and or Ralsei, who once were your friends are now nothing more than just an obstacle. That could even be foreshadowed in the mental minigame on board 3. There's even an 8-bit weird jingle playing as you kill them. So, what do we have? Normal route? Tragedy. Weird route? Tragedy with more losses. So, where do we even go from here? Oh. Well, where do I even begin? That might actually be it. Twisted Sword might actually be the key to doing the change. There are already some implications that this will be the thing Gaster wanted us to have in the first place. An item that can actually twist the fate. What? As we speak to Sham in chapter 5, he mentions that as soon as the last Shadow Crystal is gotten, he will be able to make something very, very interesting. And this phrase isn't simply thrown around in this community. And for now, our main suspicion for that item is pure crystal, the thing foreshadowed to us since chapter 2. For 5 fucking years we had no idea towards how this thing even works. And don't get me wrong, we still didn't figure it out, but what scares me the most is, if we get pure crystal in chapter 6 and we abandon the weird route on chapter 2, preserving the Thorn Ring, the thought of what might happen actually terrifies me. Concluding of what we have talked about today, I just wanted to tell whatever Toby I never even thought of that Fox is cooking on their kitchen, I highly doubt that it will be disappointing. Of course, not every single media piece is perfect. Deltarune isn't too, but I believe that if you will chase perfection long enough, sooner or later you will trip and fall. So I'm really proud of Toby that he actually acknowledges the concerns of the fans and starts talking a bit more openly about which path the game will take from now on. And that his confidence is personally for me something that tells me that we will not be left disappointed by the end of it. And with that, I thank you so much for watching towards the very end. I have a huge problem with finishing something I have begun, and with this video I want to prove at least to myself that I'm so much more capable of what I feel myself I am. And if this video finds its audience, at least with one person, I will be happy. Stay hydrated, stay healthy, and have the great rest of your day. Bye bye.